Hello again. Welcome to PM Pods. My name is Angel Bryan, Community Links Officer for the Prevention Matters initiative under the Communities Engagement and Development Unit within Buckinghamshire County Council. This is the second Prevention Matters podcast, which is designed to provide a discussion forum to explore a range of community issues affecting vulnerable adults over the age of 18, and particularly those challenges faced by older people within Buckinghamshire. I'll be discussing these issues and challenges with those community groups and organisations providing support services, with individual practitioners, volunteers, and with service users. This month's podcast explores the role of the community practice worker within Prevention Matters. This role is a fundamental aspect of the programme, and our CPWs are the face of our service, working closely with existing and potential users to help address their care and social needs. I've asked one of our CPWs, Ellie, to describe a typical day and to take us through what her role actually entails.
I usually arrive at the office with my cappuccino in hand. I have to have my much needed coffee. I go into the office and I check my emails. Well, obviously log on to the laptop, which can sometimes take a while, good old modern technology. And so I look for new referrals and process those, responding, making phone calls, arranging appointments, and lots of various admin duties, updating client notes and casework. And some cases are more straightforward, others can be a bit more complex and need a bit more time spent on them, which could involve, quite a lot of ringing around and various professionals to contact and family members. And then I'm off out to do an assessment visit. So this particular day, I happen to look out of the car park window and realise I'm actually blocked in by 5 cars. Panic sets in as I realise I may not actually be able to meet with my client. I contemplate ringing them, but then think that actually might be embarrassing. So in the end, I meet up with a colleague with a signing in book, and we have a big mass car park move around and locate all the owners of the cars, so I can get on my way to my visit. And then I'm off out to do my assessment. So blood pressure slightly high. I set off to visit my client, and I actually make it on time, even though I had to sit behind a very slow-moving tractor on my journey there. I mean, once I had to wait for a group of sheep to be herded, and that took some time. But these it kind of comes with the territory when working and covering the village patches. You have to deal with lots of various animals and rural situations. So I arrive at my destination and I meet with my client. Now, he cares for his mother, who has quite advanced dementia. He's quite stressed when I see him, and he explains how difficult his caring role is. And he constantly needs to supervise his mother, and he just doesn't get a break, and he doesn't really know where to turn. Whilst I attempt to complete my assessment with him, his friendly little dog decides to take part and pinches my pen, which is fine. I give the dog lots of fuss, and then eventually I get my pen returned. But often, again, that comes with the job. It's either pets wanting to get involved, or maybe toddlers, babies rooting through your handbag. So, but we get there in the end. At the end of my visit, once I've completed the assessment, the client notices that the front door's wide open, and we were originally sat at the back of the house. So he frantically calls out to his mother. Luckily discovered that she was sat upstairs and quite safe. But apparently the carer must have left the door open when she left. And I did worry that my next task was actually going to involve coordinating a search party for the missing mother, helicopters and sniffer dogs galore. But thankfully it all turned out okay. So in the end, I advised the client that I could offer him some support with his caring role by referring him into Carers Bucks, and also suggested he might like to try a carers support group, which I was quite happy to attend with him. So he said he'd think about this, and he raised concerns about the care package for his mother and how it wasn't really working out. So I advised I could certainly feedback his concerns to the care provider and the care coordinator. So yes, and then off to my next visit. I'm almost at my next destination when I discover the road is closed and there's a diversion in place. I don't check my blood pressure. I travel all the way around the back roads and eventually make it with like 5 minutes to spare. I mean, I'm no Lewis Hamilton, as there are speed limits to observe, but I reckon he would have been proud of me on this occasion. So I meet with my next client. She's an elderly lady and she has memory issues, along with being very hard of hearing. Fortunately, her daughter was present to help me complete the assessment, as it was quite difficult to communicate with her mother due to her hearing issues and memory problems. So we all spend the next hour shouting at each other in order to hear everyone and to answer all the assessment questions. So mother and daughter, they didn't agree all the time on the same things, so that was quite interesting. But eventually, the best interests of her mother all agreed that I could help with an application for attendance allowance, and this would help with any extra support costs that might occur with her care needs. And also we decided that applying for taxi tokens might be a good idea, as the lady often used taxis to go shopping. So this would help out a great deal with cost. So everyone happy, it's back to the office with a sore throat, and then I type up my assessments and action the support needs that's required from my visits. The role, it may have its challenges, but it's lovely meeting lots of different people, and it's really rewarding, especially if you can do something just to help them, just make their lives a bit easier, really.
I want to thank Ellie for sharing with us the role and responsibilities of a community practice worker. As I mentioned at the start of the podcast, this is a very important role, and we'd like to thank all the CPWs for their hard work in helping to translate the aim of Prevention Matters into a reality. Over the last 3 to 4 years, the Prevention Matters team have helped over 5,000 people become less isolated and remain independent in their homes for longer. We hope to double that figure over the coming years. I want to thank you again for listening to the second episode of PM Pods. And please tune in again for our next podcast in January 2017. In the meantime, season's greetings.